please put your hands together for Tina Egolf.
So, over the course of the next 2 days, you will hear a lot of people talk about how they want the world to change, right? And that sounds great. But here's a fairly provocative hypothesis. When it comes to the future of work, digital transformation and change related to the workspace, our current approach to change, innovation and disruption is insufficient and broken. With AI and automation on the horizon, we will face an increasing and growing income divide. We will face increasing pressure on our social security system, and we will face a decline in the emotional and psychological well-being of what we call today the middle class. You could argue now, well, we've identified the problem, why can we not change it? When it comes to any big development, any big challenge of our time, you have three main groups of factors. You have the government, you have the economic system itself, and you have the civil society. And they all try to influence each other. Unfortunately, they speak different languages, have different motives, different mechanisms they operate on. And although, especially the initiatives of the civil society and politics are valuable for our society, their impact will always be limited. Why? Because they do not alter the core principles of our economic system, who is responsible for this development in the first place. If you've ever tried to change someone, you know that true change can only be possible if you change them from within, if there's a genuine interest in adopting this change. So now you might argue, well, wonderful, then we've identified it, right? So we need to change from within, from the company, from the core of it. Yes, but here's the reason why I think our current approach to social change or change when it comes to digital transformation is broken. When we talk about how we want to change companies from within, we only talk about company culture, team structures, innovation processes, and remote work. And again, while all of this is valuable and interesting initiatives, they do not alter the core principles of our economic system. So, as long as everything we do within a company, being it with Post-its or being it from home, is tailored to one and one goal only, true change cannot happen. So when we're talking about the future of work, when talking about how we want to shape this future and make it a brighter workspace for all of us, in order to do this, we need to start challenging and changing the measures of success for our economy, and even more important, for each and every one of us who works in it. So what we need in order to approach change regarding the future of work and digital transformation is not more consultants, is not more speakers, is not more politicians or people in committees or think tanks. It is business professionals who realize that they need to work for something other than just money. Because as long as we optimize everything we do for profit, you can do it with the best intent, you can do it with the best tools, you can do it as innovative as you want, but it's never gonna really change anything. This is all beautiful talk, right? And now you say, well, how should this be done? Right. I don't know. I can only give you an example. I can only talk about how I want to do this. So around a year ago, I decided I not only want to talk about the future of work, I also want to actively shape it. But I'm not a change manager. I'm not a politician. I'm not an activist. I'm a product manager by training. I know how to design products people hopefully love to use, right? So I decided, yes, I want to start a business. I want to design a product that has the capacity to alter the fundamental principles of what we call work. And in order to do so, I had to find a new goal, right? I had to find something other than profit that I want to optimize for. And what I want to optimize for, the impact I want to see in the world is I want to make people more independent from traditional employment. But this is my goal. This is the impact I want to see in the world. And since I'm not an activist or a politician, I know with my business mindset that whenever you expect people to restrain from something, whenever you expect them to change or sacrifice, this change cannot be sustainable. So coming from a business and product perspective, I know people love to use your product. They adapt their behavior, but only if you solve their problem, not yours. So I had to ask the question, what problem can I solve and still optimize towards the impact that I want to see in the world? Well, when it comes to the future of work, for most of us, learning and development is a crucial part of feeling satisfied in our jobs. But for more and more people, the reality is that their organizations invest less and less in their transformation, in their path forward, in the inspiration that they get outside the normal tasks and jobs that they do each day. And with automation and AI on the horizon, that, however, becomes a prerequisite. That becomes not only an option, but a mandatory state of each and every single employee. So what that does is it creates not only stress on the individual, but also the feeling of being completely on your own. But it doesn't have to be that way. Reliable and relevant relationships in your professional ecosystems can help nurture and develop you throughout your entire career. And people know this. They long for community. They want to have a place to develop their professional identity and belong. But going to a conference, going to a meetup, talking to random strangers, hoping for the ones to meet that actually move you forward is difficult. It's exhausting and it's fucking awkward. So who wants to do this? We all know we need to do it more when moving forward in this digital transformation. But how? The good news, I now found a problem that relates directly to the impact that I want to see in this world. We just need to make it happen. And this is where the Guild was born. The Guild is a service that helps professionals build, manage, and maintain, and ultimately use professional relationships within their profession. We work with each member of the network or each member of the Guild individually and find them the right profiles based on their challenges and their current professional situation. And we bring them together, not online, but in an offline setting, in small groups where they can get to know each other and form real relationships. And we do this step by step with each individual one, in one profession and one city only. And because these relationships will always be more relevant and reliable than any LinkedIn or Xing contact, and because over time there will be coherent groups forming out of these individual networks, we call this a modern guild. But the point is not to stop with one profession in one city. We want to do this in many professions, in many cities globally. So over time, a network spans of these guilds that define an alternative to our current way of advancing careers. An alternative platform that operates independent from organization, where you can develop your professional identity and make a career for yourself. But it wouldn't be a business if it would not have a business model, right? So the guilds will operate, or will have a business model in terms of organizations can outsource their professional development and recruiting into these guilds. But remember, I do not optimize for profit anymore. So what happens to this revenue now? And when revenue is important for running operations and running the business, it's still the question, who actually benefits from the value that is created here? Who do we optimize? Who we bring this value back to? And we all know that wealth, well, comes from ownership and not income. So in order to make people more independent from their traditional employment, I also need to give them opportunity to become more financially secure and independent from this employment. And therefore, the guilds will run on a unique ownership model, where the more you engage with the guild, the more ownership you hold over the structure, and therefore benefit from the value that the guilds provide. In the end, this is how I want to create change. This is how I believe create change, especially when it comes to the future of work, a digital transformation can happen. Because I believe we need more people who work and put their skills to work for something other than money. Not in a committee, not in a think tank, not in an NGO, not by volunteering, giving talks, or doing consulting, but by doing what they do best in their profession, just with a different purpose. And if now you feel like you want to invest in your career, right? You want to prepare yourself for the future of work, then please invest in your relationships. They will be the ones that move you forward. And if you do not want to do this alone, feel free to talk to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. You even saved 2 minutes, so we have 8 minutes time to answer your questions. Just start to walk in the back, because usually the guys and girls at the back, as I said.
So could you give like a practical example? Let's say I sign up, I join the guild, like what would I be contributing, or what would it be look like?
I give you some time to think and come back. I can throw the microphone.
Yeah, that would be nice. So it's fairly practical. At the moment, we started the guild, the HR guild. So at the moment, we focus on the HR as a profession, but we will bring the guilds to many different professions in the near future. When you sign up, I call you, which is awkward, I know. I mean, we do not talk to people anymore. But I call you and I learn more about how your professional situation looks like at the moment, what challenges you have, what questions you have. And then I find 2 other people in the guild's network that fit your challenges. Then I arrange a time and a location and put you in front of each other offline in the real world, so you can talk to each other and therefore build a network and a relationship with these other people. 3 months down the line, I will remind you to follow up with these people again, so the contact is not lost. After the meeting is done, I will introduce you to the next 2 and the next 2 and the next 2. So over time, you start building your own network. At one point, I will come to you and say, look, we have a specific question here coming from maybe a junior who wants mentoring in a field that you're an expert in. And then you can help this person, again, meet offline, meet in your city, and actually mentor them going forward. What we already see today is, when looking at the HR profession, is we have many different industries in the network. And what we see is there will be people who are more advanced in their field when it comes, for example, to the question of digital transformation than others. There is no silver bullet. We know this by now. But some people have solved specific things better than others. And when they talk to each other, they can actually understand where they stand today and help them move forward step by step. Not with a course, not with some standardized programs, but with actual help that comes from within the industry or the profession.
Very good. Not the last row.
Thank you, Tina, for that great talk. I'm Clarice, and I would be interested. You said that you're a product manager. Could you tell me some more about how you developed this product?
In the end, it all starts with research, right? So you start with trying to understand. You identify the field that you want to work in. Then you research basically the pain points of people. Because when product management, what happens normally is someone has an idea, and then they try to fit the problem towards the idea, right? So you build a technology, and then you just push it into the market and hope for the best. Good product management practice, however, starts the other way around. You identify a problem, and the problem needs to be as clear to you as anyhow possible, because then the solution becomes clear. So what I saw is that people, there are many, many meetings, there are many, many meetups and conferences and everything, but you go there with the expectation to meet interesting people. You walk home, you feel exhausted, and you might know 1 or 2 others. But no one really likes doing cold calling or cold networking. So although we know we want it and there is a need for it, it has not been met yet. And that is how I want to approach it. And therefore I go, and then there are many other steps involved, but I think that takes a bit too long. So, but I can follow up with you if you like.
You still have 2 minutes left, so if you want to explain some steps. But okay. Any further questions?
Maybe step from being a member to becoming an owner was pretty quick.
So the question is how you, when you start as a member, become an owner. I just repeated for the audio.
So this is, in the end, this will be based on technology. So that is not possible at the moment because we're before that technologically. But the idea is that you register everything you do on the platform. So you basically tell us who you've mentored, who you've met. Maybe you've given a workshop, maybe if you recommended some good content. And that moment you do this and other approve what you've done in the sense of saying, wow, this was super helpful for me, you get ownership points. And these ownership points will directly translate into the revenue model, to the ownership model, of the guild. So it's actually no hazard for you. You just need to sign up and be part of the network and track your tasks there, and then therefore gather points that make you eligible to the revenue that is part of it. But as I said, that's the second stage. We are not there yet. We still need the technology to do it.
One last and short question. Next time you have to sit in the front row.
So one fundamental question I have with what you propose is, isn't the reason why you started that companies don't value like investment in their people and knowledge anymore as much as it did before? Like I have the feeling in a lot of industries it's more like make the employees more interchangeable, and so what should be an incentive for a company then to hire people in the guild?
30 seconds left.
There is no incentive to make companies stick to their people more. You will not be able to change the development of companies towards being less tied to the human resources they have at the moment. That path is already walked. So that train has left the station, as they say, right? We cannot stop this transition. Organizations are not relying on humans as they have in the... Sorry, this is very irritating. Okay, I'm sorry. We can follow up later.